It's one thing to have faith, but it's another thing to actually move in that faith. Join me as I believe. Poet, mother, teacher. Why not believe together?
Hey. So I am excited, super excited about today's topic. Today we're going to talk about moving closer to God and getting rid of old habits. How do I break old habits? How do I get rid of old habits? You know, we all have those habits that we feel like, oh my God, I can get rid of this, I can get rid of that. But this thing right here, I cannot shake. I cannot get rid of. What is wrong? What is going on? Why can't I shake this habit? I'm trying my best, but I cannot shake it. I cannot do it. Guys, I am so excited because I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about my journey, trying to break habits, trying to get rid of a habit that that was wearing me out, that was wearing me down. So if you like this content, please like and subscribe to this channel. It's just a quick click. Share with any of your friends or anybody that you think can use this content. Anybody you think can benefit from this content, or even heal from this content. Okay, so I'm gonna get right into it. Like, I'm gonna start with a scripture. I'm probably gonna be like talking fast because I'm super excited about this topic, but I'm gonna start with a scripture, and it's Romans 7:15-20, and it reads, "I do not understand what I do, for what I want to do, I do not do, but what I hate, I do. And if I do what I do not want to do, I agree that the law is good. As it is no longer I myself who do it, but it is the sin living in me. For I know that good itself does not dwell in me, that is, in my sinful nature. For I have the desire to do what is good, but I cannot carry it out. For I do not do the good I want to do, but the evil I do not want to do. This I keep on doing. Now, if I do what I do not want to do, it's no longer I who do it, but it's the sin that's living in me that does it." So in this reading, Paul was talking to the Romans, and Paul was just basically talking about sinful struggles and our sinful natures. And it's a battle, like it's a constant battle, because one side of us wants to do good, but then there's another side of us that's yearning, that is longing for certain things because we've already been exposed to those things. And it's kind of hard. Like, once you're exposed to something and your body like it or you like it, it's kind of hard to shake that thing that you've been exposed to. It's kind of hard to kind of like, not want it and push it out to the side. But it's like when you come in closer to God, you come into a closer context with God, you start to like not want that, yet your body is still yearning it, right? Not want those old sinful things. And so we can make it clear what we're talking about, or things that we're talking about. It could be any habit, any old habit that you feel like is bad for you, yet it's hard to break. It could be eating excessively. It could be lying. It could be stealing, cheating, anything. For me, mine was sex. Mine was sex and fornication. I got exposed to sex at a very young age. So it was something that I liked. Sorry, I yearned it. Like, my body liked it. My body yearned it. And of course, that's a natural thing anyway. So your body is going to yearn it. Your body is going to want it. But when you really like it, your body is really going to yearn it. And it makes it hard. However, God had been so faithful to me and doing things for me in my life that I wanted to like really serve God wholeheartedly. And I could get rid of a whole lot of things. I could get rid of cursing. I used to curse like crazy. I could get rid of all of those things, but I couldn't shake this. I couldn't shake that habit. And I have to be honest, because it was so hard for me that I would have to ball up and cry myself to sleep just to keep from doing, or to keep from calling somebody to say, hey, you know what? I'm gonna need you to come through. Like, that's how hard it was for me, that I would have to ball myself up and cry to sleep. And I would pray. And I would pray, God, take this away from me. Just take it away from me. Not really realizing or knowing what I was praying, but that was my prayer. God, take this away from me. And I noticed even after praying that prayer, like, I still could not shake it. I still couldn't, like, you know what I'm saying? I still couldn't get rid of it. Nothing was changing. And so I'm like, oh, what is going on? And I started to make excuses. Well, maybe this is just something that I can't shake. maybe this is something that's like, hey, it's natural. God, no. You know, y'all have, I've always heard it, and I've said it too. The Lord know my heart. Especially when if we in some stuff we can't come out of, or we done said so we know we ain't had no business saying. Oh, the Lord know my heart. But it was deeper than that. It was much deeper than that, and I had to go through a process. And I'm gonna break down to you guys the process. The first thing was figuring out what was causing me to do that. Like, what was I compensating for in that action? Because a lot of times when we can't get rid of habits, it's because we're compensating with that action or with that habit. We're trying to fill voids with that action or with that habit. So I had to sit down and ask myself, what was I compensating for? Like, what was I using that habit to fill? What void was I trying to fill? That was thing number one. Thing number two, I had to identify areas that needed healing. And I had to be willing to go there with myself. Not only just with myself, I had to be willing to go there with God. Like, I had to ask God, like, God, heal those places within me that I don't even know need healing. God, begin to reveal those places within me that need healing so I know what I need to work on. And one of my constant prayers, and I mentioned it earlier in a previous video, that I had to ask God, creating me a clean heart. And we don't realize that a lot of these habits that we cannot break are heart issues. They are heart issues. A lot of times they come from, like I said, compensating, but they come from coping. They come from a place of disappointment. They come from a place of hurt and or anger. So I was praying constantly for a year straight. I know, like, God created me a clean heart. Like, on the outside, it looks like I'm fine. On the outside, people think I have a good heart, but God, there's some things in my heart. And because I was asking God to create in me a clean heart, it didn't mean that I was a bad person, right? It just means that I had some undealt with heart issues that was causing me to falsely cope. I was falsely coping with undealt with heart issues. And that was a problem. So that was a prayer for me. Then the third thing was like admitting, like, hey, this is a problem. This is a problem I have. And this is a problem. And kind of openly confessing it. I openly confessed it to God. I openly confessed it to like family members and friends. And I know for a lot of people that's hard because like when we confess things to people, they use it against us or they go back and they talk about us, you know. But I think for me, I didn't care. I wanted freedom more than I cared about that. Like I was just trying to get my freedom. And I was like, God, I know if I confess it, then you're going to deal with it. And it's no longer me dealing with it. So that was thing number 3. The fourth and final thing, which was the biggest thing ever, y'all. And like when we go to God in prayer, we like to dress things up. Oh, Jesus. We like to dress things up for God when we go in prayer. And so sometimes we only go to God with things that sound good, you know, with prayers and with requests that only sound good. But sometimes you have to be willing to go to God with the things that don't sound so good. And so the fourth and last thing I did was I took God with me in my sin. I was getting ready and I knew I was getting ready to do it. And I knew my mind was not going to change. Like I knew like my body was yearning for it. I knew I wanted it. And I knew that my mind was made up for that day. I knew that I was going to do it. But I don't think we talk about this enough. Like, and it's not saying that the sin is okay. We're not condoning that. But what I'm saying is I took God with me in my sin. I was like, God, right before I got ready to sin, God, my mind is made up. I'm going to do this. But I am tired of doing this. I am tired of this habit getting the best of me. And I've tried and I can't break it. God, I'm asking you to break it. I'm asking you to even go before me in this act that I'm going to do. You said, God, you said to ask and I shall receive. The knock and the door shall be open. God, you said that when our brothers and sisters need to pray, God, I'm praying for myself because I'm in need. I am in need of a healing. And I know that I'm going to do this act. God, you told me that your love and your grace is sufficient. Your grace is sufficient. You told me that your love covers a multitude of sin. I mean, I was going to God before my sin. I was taking him in my sin with me. And I guess I should have been a fifth step, that when we're praying about those sins, look, we can't do nothing out of our own strength. Paul said it in the scripture before. He said, I'm going to do it because of the sinful nature in me. But guess what? Guess who's not filled with sin? God. So if we take God in that sin with us, eventually that sin is going to be no more. And when I say, during the act, I was disgusted. After the act, I was disgusted. And when I used to have to like ball myself up and cry, that is no longer an issue. God is doing that disgust and doing me taking God in my sin with me. That took all of that away. It took it all away. The desires where I'm thinking I'm having, and I used to ball up and like cry and scratch and all of that stuff. No more, because God is faithful. God is faithful, and his word does not come back void. And he is just to do exactly what he said he was going to do. When he said that his grace is sufficient, it is sufficient. We just have to be faithful enough to trust God, not just with the good stuff, but even with the yucky stuff, even with the stuff that we're afraid to share with everybody else. We have to be faithful enough to trust God with those yucky things so that he can do what he needs to do to help us rid of them. I think a lot of habits we can't get rid of because we're trying to get rid of those things on our own. And to be honest, that's a pride issue. Like, that's a pride issue. And I could talk about it because I had it. It was there in my heart, which we know pride issues is an issue of the heart. So we have to deal with that before we're even able to break habits. A lot of times the habits that we see are the fruit of a heart issue. And so we have to be willing to, really, really be willing to deal with the heart issue. Those are my steps. That's kind of what I did to kind of deal with the biggest habit that was haunting me. It had been haunting me for a long time. The hardest habit. That's what I did. And we have to find what works for us, but that's what I did. And the moment I took God, in that thing with me, the moment I stopped fighting, the moment the battle was sealed. And when I say, y'all, I know that God was with me, not just from the level of disgust that I felt, but because I got a text during the act. And when I followed up on the text, the person was like, call me, I have something to tell you. And when I called them, they said, it's just been on my spirit. I needed to tell you, and I need to tell you that God is breaking the exact thing that has been hindering you since you were a child. They told me the exact age, and the age that they told me was the age that I was first exposed to sex. So I knew that moment that God heard me. I knew that moment that God was in my mess with me. And I knew that moment that it was done. It was over. I don't know what habits you guys are dealing with. I don't know what habits you guys are dealing with, but I just wanted to encourage you, and I wanted to give you some steps that helped me, and hopefully that it can help you overcome and deal with some of the things that you're dealing with, or some of the habits you're struggling with, some of the habits that you are desperately wanting to break and can't break them. I hope this helped. Remember, if you have not already done it, please like and subscribe to this channel. Like this video, share this video. Hopefully it can help somebody else. I want to share because I feel like through honesty and transparency that we can be healed. Not just one of us, but we can be healed as a people looking and searching for Christ. Bye. Remember, love with your whole heart because I love you.